All right, it's chip of the day. We have an oldie. This is a Burr Brown PCM61P. It's an 18-bit D to A converter, and very popular back in the old CD, CD days, playing music digitally. They don't make these anymore, I'm sure, but they were quite the thing because they have really, really good specs. Now, a lot of people will say, why do you spend time on obsolete parts? Well, there's a couple reasons. One is I have them and I need to do a chip of the day. But really, I think the value is if you repair something, let's say you have an old piece of audio equipment and it's gone bad and you kind of want to know how things work. That's one reason. Another reason is even if it's an obsolete part, you can learn something about the inner workings, how it works. A lot of times the older parts are easy to understand than the newer parts, which are much more complicated, so sometimes it has value of that. But anyway, I got some, so let's do it. So here's the block diagram. It's just clock and data, and then you latch it in. There's a latch enable. 18-bit DAC, and this was interesting. We'll get to that. Like I said, it's 18 bits. It's 100% compatible with the, whatever that one was. Low glitches, capable of 8 times oversampling rate. Okay. So, like I said, it's got pretty fancy specs. Let's see here. Let me take a look at the total harmonic distortion is like minus 94 dB. Woo, that's a good one. Anyway, so here's how it works. It's a plus and minus 5 volt part, which is kind of weird. But anyway, and a couple pins that you need to worry about. So interestingly, they have minus 5 coming into 2 pins and plus 5 coming into 2 pins, but each one is individually bypassed with a capacitor. So it's kind of interesting what's going on there. So we have some other things we need to worry about. I just noticed I'm missing a pin. I'm missing pin 2 on my breadboard. I'm having problems with the breadboard, so maybe that's it. Maybe that's why it's not working correctly. That's a good clue. But this one is current output. So like I said, many DACs are current output, and then you have to convert them somewhere else. I did a video where I just put a resistor to ground and said, hey, that's good enough. But this one has an op amp built in that takes that current and turns it into a voltage. It has an internal resistor that you can use if you want to use that one, or you can supply your own. It's a little bit configurable. So so this one outputs plus and minus 3 volts on the output. So there you go. Now, I thought that I would just start up this video now because people may get used to the idea that, hey, AI just takes care of it for you. Well, no, it doesn't always. Sometimes you'll get lucky and it'll get it right the first month. What the AI is really, really valuable in is to give you a framework, get it close, right? Because for a couple of reasons. I don't do software a lot, and I'm not a software guy. I just don't remember the syntaxes or stuff. Or like when I was doing registers, I didn't know what the registers were called. I would have to go look those up and everything. So AI does all that for you. So it can really make a really, let's say a 90% complete boilerplate, and then you need to go in and twiddle it a bit. And I needed to twiddle this one because it wasn't quite right from the get-go. And it still isn't working, but maybe that missing ground is what we need today. But let's go ahead and look at what I got now. All right, here's my breadboard using the ATtiny 3224. And this is my programmer, my one-wire programmer. I've got 4 scope probes hooked up for the 3 data pins and then the 1 analog output pin. But let's go ahead and add that. Ground pin. That most likely will help a lot. Let's see, it's pin 2, so ground to pin 2. There we go. Okay, so ground pin is in, and I have plus minus 5 volts here on my power supply, so I'll turn that on. I'm waiting for my scope to boot. Roden Schwartz is letting me use a beta version of their software that's they're having me test a feature out that I complained about, the horizontal speed shifting back and forth. They've improved that, so it's nice that they take interest in those types of things. So let's see here. Why isn't it running? I'm not getting any data, so obviously something happened here. Let me measure some voltages. All right, so we will all learn together. So let's check our power supplies. This should be 5 volts, and it is. And this one should be minus 5 volts, and it is. All right, and I don't see any clocks being generated. Oh, there we go. So for those watching at home, oh, and it started to work. You see that? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not pointing at the right thing. Okay, let's start over. Okay, so I was down here, and the scope said that nothing was running. That the microprocessor wasn't running. I thought, well, that's strange, and it should light up the display too, right? And it wasn't doing that. I thought, okay, maybe there was a shorting the power supply. So I went and I used a voltmeter and I made sure the power supplies were correct, but it still wasn't running, and I didn't quite understand why. And then I pulled out my programmer. So the programmer was not plugged into a computer, so it has 0 volts on it. So when I put it on there, it was holding pin 10 down. Pin 10 is the UPDI interface. And so obviously, if you have this plugged in and it's not powered up, it either pulls down that line, probably pulls down that line, and then the processor won't run. So I just learned that today. So there we go. Both learned something. So now I had, yesterday I was fighting it and I was missing the ground. So let me take off the ground, that pin 2 ground, and we'll take a look at what I saw yesterday, and you can both see my amazement. Okay, so here we go. So what I'm showing is three signals. Let me put this one down here. So here's clock and here's data. So the data's changing. When I got it from AI to begin with, the clock wasn't giving me the correct, it wasn't giving me the correct polarities. It was okay, but I wanted it to start at ground and end in ground. So I needed to change the code just a tiny bit to make sure that it starts at ground and ends in ground, and that there's 18 clocks, okay? And so I had to change the code just a tiny little bit to get that to work. The data was fine. And then the latch pin was upside down, and I needed to make it high true instead of low true. So I don't know why they got that upside down, but I needed to fix that. But then it still didn't work. So this blue trace here is the output, and the output was just high. It was just always high, and I didn't understand why. So today, while filming a YouTube video, I was looking at the datasheet, and I found that my Logic Common pin 2 was not grounded. So let me add the ground. Let me add the ground to pin 2. And look, it starts to work. And it goes between plus and minus 3 volts, just like it's supposed to. So there we go. A successful demo. Very nice. So it is sending bits. You wonder why there's no bits down here. I think I'm incrementing the loop by 64. And so the first number of bits is not going to, maybe it's 255. It's an 18-bit word, so if you were counting all the 18, it would go really slowly. So I'm skipping some of the least significance there and clocking the most significance out first. And yeah, so it's working. All right, so you may have problems with this also sometimes in datasheets. So this datasheet, for whatever reason, is very sparse. It's only a 4-page datasheet, which is quite unusual. Usually datasheets are much longer than that. And the only information about how to actually talk to the device is 1 page. And this 1 page is actually a little bit confusing. So this is straightforward. it's 18 bits of data, and then it clocks on the rising edge of each one. So you want to set the data, then you want to have a rising edge. So that's easy, and the code did that just fine. I think it was the way that it was set up. I think it wasn't quite looked correct. Like there was half of an 18 instead of an actual pulse in the 18. It ended on the high state instead of the low state, something like that. I needed to fix that a bit. But the complicated part was this latch enable, which was confusing me because it's not exactly straightforward interpreting this graph. It says that the latch enable has to come down before you start clocking in the data. So that makes sense. You basically open up the latch by enabling it, and then you're writing this into the latching register, and then you want to clock that in. You would clock that in with an edge, right? And so, well, it shows a falling edge here and then a rising edge here, but then it shows a rising edge here and a falling edge here. So it sort of says that this edge can either be over here or over there or maybe somewhere in between. It's really not clear. And it seemed to me that this was the important edge. This is when it's going to clock the data, because you need to get the 18th bit out of the way before you fall down. So I don't know. It seems like it's operating in two different modes. One is that you first have to enable it, which is a low state, and then go ahead and raise that clock up sometime so you can have another falling edge sometime later. Anyway, it's confusing. So you figure, oh great, they give me a zoom in diagram here of what's to go on. Talks about holding things one, I don't know. And then this one was completely confusing also. So yeah, I don't know. Anyway, it works, right? We just saw it. It works. So really what I'm doing now is I'm just doing I'm low. Oh, and then the other thing that's confusing about this, if you look at this and you look at that, that's the same thing. This falling edge is actually this falling edge, because it's happening. See, you see bit 1 comes right after bit 18, so it's repeating. It's an audio stream, so it's going full speed. So really, it's just this falling edge here that says start clocking, and then the falling edge again here. And it's like I said, it's confusing, right? So the way that I have it set up is I just have it low all the time, and then I rise it right at the end, and I make it go down. So really, mine just kind of goes like this, and and then you can just say, there's another one over here. Anyway, too much hand waving, but obviously it works. And this is obviously confusing, at least to me. Any other things about you can put in a little bit of fine adjust if you want to make it accurate. You can put in a little bit of tweaking in the trim here on the voltages. That's available here on pins 14 and 15. Otherwise, you just leave them open and it works just fine. But yeah, it was in the day quite the thing. That was Chip of the Day. A PCM 61P.